Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Wait, take.
Throw. End zone. Caught. Terrence Williams. Touchdown, Cowboys. Tony Romo.
They go for the shotgun. Roger looks left. Fires it out there. Caught by Tony Hill. Touchdown, Cowboys.
15 to the 10, he'll score. Emmitt Smith dances to the end zone. The Cowboys have taken a 2-score lead.
Play fake to throw it out of the end zone.
Going way down the field for Michael Irvin, bumping and grinding at the 5. Oh, he's got it. Touchdown, Cowboys.
Over the middle, caught by Witten, who loses his helmet but still keeps going. A penalty. All the pressure on the left side. He drops the ball, throws, caught, Witten. Touchdown.
Big opening for Tony Dorsett. Look out, he's got great speed.
99 yards and a half.
Dorsett down the sideline. Stays in bounds.
Can you believe that?
Short because they're 99 yards.
Prescott able to get out of the end zone and now airs it out for Lamb. He's got it. He's gone. When he gets there, it's a touchdown, Cowboys. On top.
You want to know what an all-pro looks like? Watch Michael Irvin here. He'll battle you all the way down the field.
Motion on first down, Aikman. Harper. Was that beautiful? Touchdown, Dallas. Men on the rush. Pass is caught. Deflection. Touchdown. Cowboys win. Amari Cooper.
Throws it down the field. It's caught at the 10. And this game is over. The Cowboys win it. C.D. Lamb.
But no. But you understand, we do have one game left to play. Hey, fantastic. Every single one of you. I mean, I'm not just talking about these last 60 minutes. I'm talking about the quarterback schools, the mini camp, the off-season, the training camp, down in Austin when it was hot and you were tired, the whole bit. Everybody, you did one hell of a job. And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Cowboys Nation, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode of Sons of the Star. We are live here on X today after the Cowboys in Los Angeles Chargers game. The Dallas Cowboys have suffered a 26-19 defeat to the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to break it all down here today. Our last live show post-game of the preseason, so make sure you throw in some comments and questions in our chat today. But first of all, I'm your host, Dallas. Joining me again is Cowboy Reg. What's going on, Cowboy Reg? How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. You know, I wish we had a better outcome, but got lots of things to evaluate and look at today from this game. It's strange, but exciting game.
Absolutely. What you got, a Staubach jersey on today there, Cowboy Reg?
Well, we are 12 days out of NFL kickoff. So in honor of our 12 days out,
I love
we're going with the Hall of Famer, the Heisman Trophy winning Vietnam veteran, Roger the Dodger, Captain America, Staubach.
Yeah, too bad he went to Navy, though. What a terrible football team. But other than that, he's one of the greatest guys ever.
When they beat Notre Dame with Staubach, they didn't beat Notre Dame again until you and I were in the stands. What was that, 15 years ago? That was rough. We saw Roger live. Roger Staubach was in the building, and that was bad news for Notre Dame once again.
Terrible.
Yeah,
I hate Charlie Weiss forever. We got a question here from Fun Football Podcast. What's the Cowboys' biggest strength and weakness right now? That's a good one. You want to go
Fun
for
Football? It? What's up, buddy? Good account right there. Interesting situation with Isaac there that runs that account. He is a diehard Packers fan, very knowledgeable Packers fan and podcast that he has, but he lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Oh,
so he's surrounded by Cowboys Nation. So He is.
Hopefully, he didn't go to the game, the playoff game last year.
Yeah, I don't think he did, but maybe he did. But either way, he probably got a good talk to a lot of people the following morning. Thank God we don't live around him. That would have been a rough one. But he's got an interesting backstory. But I mean, the Cowboys' strength this year, in my opinion, it really, I think it's going to be the defense, and we're going to talk about an injury that we suffered today that's going to be critical on the defense. But I still think the Cowboys defense, and they even in the preseason with different personnel, the scheme they run and the way Zimmer's got them playing right now, they're forcing turnovers. They got pick sixes in the preseason. It looks like the same team we saw last year, getting turnovers, getting pick sixes, putting points on the board. The offense, different. I have some concerns there, but I'll leave that to you, Dallas, to talk about what you think our weaknesses are. But I think the strength is the defense. The pass rush is going to be insane this year. It's going to be bigger than it was last year. It's not going to be just a Micah Parsons show. I mean, this kid they got, Nealand, the way he's looked in the preseason, the way he looks in camp. They just brought in Phillips, formerly the Giants and the Bills, pass rush specialist. With D-Law and Parsons both healthy. Parsons looked like in training camp, he looks significantly better than he was last year, if that's even possible. So I got no concerns on the defense. So that's my strength. What do you got?
Did you tell us the weakness?
No, I'm leaving that to
offense?
you. I want you to.
Oh, okay, cool. No, yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you, Cowboy. Going into the season, the defense should be a strength. This is a defense that had a great pass rush last year, took the ball away, forced turnovers, scored the highest scoring defense in the NFL last year. But then you add in a Mike Zimmer scheme where we're expecting the run defense to perform better because that was the weakness of the defense last year. So I think the Dallas Cowboys will be better at stopping the run this year, and they're slowly adding more and more additions to finding guys that are still kind of out there that have worked with Mike Zimmer before that are free agents. So hopefully that works out, and I kind of see it as like it's almost meant to be. So I see this defense as a team, as a group that should perform even better than they did last year, because in big games when you didn't get the turnovers, they kind of struggled. So this is a team that I think they can also rely on their defense to just be sound and stop the run. And if you add that aspect of the defense, not only are you able to stop the run, but you're elite in the secondary, which I think they will be, and be able to take the ball away. They should be a really, really strong defense. I truly believe that. Weakness is going to be offensive line, I think. It as of now, because I'm very hopeful of the offensive line, but they're going to be a very young group and a new group. So but I will caveat that with, if they don't sign CeeDee Lamb by week 1, the wide receiver core is also could be a weakness, as well as the running back room as well. So there's some issues with the offense right now that's not complete. And before preseason started, I would probably have said the running back room, but I honestly think we got some good guys in the running back room after seeing them perform in preseason. So I'm going to go with offensive line as the weakness, just because of the inexperience there. Obviously, they could prove me wrong within the first couple of weeks, and that could be a strength. But unless they don't lock up Lamb, that's what Fun Football Podcast says now. They got to lock up Lamb, or this offense will not hum. Yeah, you're 100% right.
100%.
That not only does it knock everybody up a spot, but there's really not star power there except for Lamb. I mean, Brandon Cooks is hardly a star. There's some guys that are great supporting cast, but when you don't have
Fergie's a star. I would say Fergie's a star.
He's on the precipice of being a star.
You watch your mouth, young man.
Fun Football Podcast also says agree on the O-line and the running back room. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a solidified, number one running back going into week 1, but I think they're And we saw today, like, there's some guys in Royce Freeman and Deuce Vaughn, I think, performed pretty well, and you add them to Rico, and maybe Zeke has a somewhat decent year, and who knows, man? This running back room could look better, but yeah, I mean, on paper, they're definitely a weakness. So, you agree with that, Cowboy Reggie? Anything else to say on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I disagree a little bit on Cooks is hardly a star. I think Cooks is a wide receiver one on 16 teams in the NFL. I really do. He's been one before. Everybody's looking at the number next to his name, his age. But if you look at what he did last year, he showed the speed, he showed the reliability. I mean, he was a go-to guy in several games. So just a slight disagreement on that. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I have concerns as much about the offense as I do questions. And the biggest question is, where's CD Lamb?
CD Lamb.
That's the biggest question. So we touched on that.
Yeah, it's we shall see, man. But yeah, Fun Football Podcast says he took Ferguson in fantasy, so that's good. And also, Cooks could be special if used right. He came out at the end. Yeah, he had a good, end of the year last year, but I worry about him, without CD not being the number one, being the number one guy. I wouldn't
Yeah.
appreciate it. But hey, thanks for the comments and questions. Fun Football Podcast. Got another one here from David Caleb Gonzalez. Now that we've seen Trey Lance play as a Dallas Cowboy, what are your thoughts on him in reference to Dak Prescott possibly leaving Dallas? So, this is definitely a segment for today, but we might as well just transition into this.
Let's go. I'm ready. I've got a lot to say about this situation.
Yeah, so I mean, we might as well go ahead and get into the Trey Lance situation. So, going into the preseason, like we said, there's a lot of questions regarding Trey Lance, and the biggest thing with Trey Lance is we really wanted him to perform well, regardless of what you want to do with him. But there's a few different avenues we can go down here when talking about Trey Lance. Is he going to compete for the quarterback 2 job? Is he going to be a guy that Dallas deals during the season? Or is he a guy that could potentially – he's not going to replace Dak this year. We can go ahead and X that out. But can he replace Dak next year? Because Dak Prescott will be a free agent going into next season. So can Trey Lance potentially replace him as the starting quarterback for the 2025-2026 season? I just threw a lot of information out there. Cowboy Rich, where do you want to start with Trey Lance? I'm gonna. This is your guy, so I'm gonna turn it over to you, and you can take it wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, and we got like 4, maybe 5 straight comments there asking us about Trey Lance. So we'll just kind of try to cover this in one big answer here about Trey Lance. I have more questions right now about Trey Lance than I did 4 weeks ago before the first preseason game. Trey looked like in game 1, he looked like a kid who hasn't played football in 5 years, which basically is what he is. In game 2, he showed the potential of a starting quarterback in the NFL. In game 3, he looked like a bust. This guy's throwing turnovers out more than the baker down the street. This is ridiculous. 5 turnovers in a preseason game against third stringers. You'd never play in the NFL with that. If his first read wasn't there, he threw an interception. He held the ball till he got sacked, fumbled, all that crap. Everything you don't want to see. Every single quality you don't want to see, he showed tonight. Now I'm going to blow your mind. He needs to be on the team, and he needs to be in uniform. This kid can run. This kid can straight out run. I want him in the game, 4 or 5 plays per game on offense, coming off under center or in the shotgun, and run the ball, run the option, run the read option. Did you see that run? We got no one on this team that could make that run. Zeke would have been caught. Rico would have been caught. This kid can fly. Okay. What happened when he came out of high school. He was recruited by the University of Minnesota, his dream school. But what did they tell him, Dallas? Do you remember?
They didn't want him to be a quarterback.
They were right. This kid needs the ball in his hand and then get into the open field. That's what he needs. He cannot play quarterback in the NFL from what I saw today. That's my take. But I want him on the team. He's a weapon, man. He's a weapon. And, I mean, look at his rushing yards through the preseason. Don't just go by that one run. Every time he runs the ball, he's getting 8, 9, 10, 15 yards. Dak can't do that, and we don't want him to do that. So I think there's a place for him, Tyson Hill type situation. But if he's going to have this pride and this attitude like he did with the University of Minnesota saying quarterback or bust, it's bust. He's out the door.
That's an interesting take.
And the winner, I'll finish with this. The winner today is Dak Prescott. Now you got to pay him. You can't have this guy running the offense. Dak, congratulations. Between you and CD, game over. You guys are about to break the bank.
Yeah, I think David Gonzalez nailed it here. He said the biggest takeaway is that the Cowboys gave Dak Prescott even more leverage because he was the Cowboys buff to get a discount. But Trey Lance, this is the kind of quarterback play we're going to get if we get rid of Dak. So
he's
100% right there. I mean, you're not going to – Trey Lance is not going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, or at least for the Dallas Cowboys anytime soon.
So you just lost.
He shows flashes. Yeah. I don't know that, man. I don't know about that. That's where I disagree. I think he's shown enough in the preseason to where, I mean, I already wanted to shit on the Raiders today, and I'll go ahead and just say this. I think he could be the starting quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. I do, because he shows flashes, but yeah, you're gonna get some. Look, man, he threw 5 picks today.
Insane. Can't do that.
I would probably blame him for 2 of those.
3 at least. And 3 is too
2
many.
Or 3.
And that's too many.
The one,
that's too many.
Yeah,
5.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And he did have 2 fumbles today. He had 2 fumbles today that were recovered. So he could have potentially had 7 turnovers.
This dude looked like
letting it loose.
He looked like the Denver Broncos in the 1977 Super Bowl against Dallas. I believe they committed 9 turnovers. It was a Super Bowl record that still stands. That's what he looked like to me. Fumbling, stumbling, throwing picks. I mean, come on, man. You take away as many as you want. It's still too many.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I thought this could be a really good game for him. He started well. They marched down the field. They ended up kicking a field goal in this game, but he commanded the offense really well. David Gonzalez says, I want to see Dak Prescott with the Las Vegas Raiders, Adams, Bowers, White, and Antonio Pierce as his coach. That's a playoff contender. I mean, probably, but I don't want to see that personally.
Team. That would be a playoff team, but it ain't going to happen. Dak just won today. Dak won. Yeah. He's getting paid now. I guarantee he's getting paid now. They have no other option.
Yeah, man. It's something, and that's interesting. So what do you think is going to be the result of this? So you think they're going to try and use Trey Lance as a utility player and potentially make the 53-man roster?
And I've thought about, you guys, I know the game just ended, but I've been thinking about this. I'm telling you. What else are you going to do with him? He's only signed through this year, but he signed, I think, a $5 million chunk. So they're not going to cut him. They're paying him way too much to cut him. So so what are you doing with him? You're not developing anymore because his contract's up this year. And as a third string quarterback, which he definitely is now, what are you going to do with him? So the only answer I can think of is put him on the freaking field and use him to the advantage of the Cowboys, which is not as a quarterback per se, but as a, dual threat, RPO, Tyson Hill crap. He can even come out of the shotgun and throw a fade. He throws a pretty good ball, but I don't want him running the offense. We saw what happens. Dude, did he not play the entire game? Did he not play from start to finish? So we have a full picture of what this guy does under pressure, and that's not good. That was not good under pressure. He had multiple times in the fourth quarter. They scored 3 points in the fourth quarter. That's it. He had multiple opportunities to put points on the board and win the game. He turned the ball over every single time. Nobody wants him now. I guarantee. Why would you? What do you do? You can't. I mean, I don't know. You got to play him. That's my opinion. Is draw up some plays, get him out there, and make defenses think, what's this guy going to do? Little slash.
But it's like you said. It's like you said though. Like I worry about him coming out in the regular season just to do a design play, because if he does go to throw the ball, like, he could make a mistake. That was his first interception. Was just like he failed to throw the ball quick enough on this little out route. They had a 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2. I think it was, I don't remember if it was 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2, but just a small little out route. But you just got to hit that guy quick, and he waited too long, and the DB made a read on it, and they made the pick. Like, it wasn't like the worst throw in the world. It's just like small little things, and that's what's wrong with Trey Lance, is he's just not an accurate passer as of right now. He's got a hell of an arm.
Did you see that overthrow?
He can run like the wind.
When he threw the ball over Deuce Vaughn's head, it's like,
yeah,
don't you know how tall Deuce Vaughn is? Every casual
he's not accurate.
in the world, every casual fan in the world knows Deuce Vaughn is 5'5". He's the shortest player in the NFL. Everybody knows that. Trey throws a ball over his head. Does he not know his personnel on the field at that time? Is he a robot and he just throws the ball to a certain spot? I have concerns, man. I don't have questions about Trey Lance. I have concerns. And
what are you going to do with him? You know what I mean?
Play him. You got to play him. What are you going to do? You're going to waste somebody's time on the practice squad developing him just to let him go? That's a horrible idea.
I know. You're right. You're right about that. But it's like this 53-man roster is gonna get tight, and like, especially with our wide receivers and our running backs.
He can return kicks for all I'm concerned, and I'm not joking.
Yeah, I mean he is ridiculous in the open field. Like, he is a legit.
Yeah. No, he was nasty in the open field all preseason, not just that one play. Don't get. I mean, like, that one play was ridiculous, though. No running back makes that, even the play that he did. That was crazy. This guy needs the ball, but 3 or 4 times a game. That's it. Put him in.
Like, if he was a straight up quarterback in the NFL next year, do you think he could be the #1 rushing quarterback in the NFL? Like, I honestly think he could be.
I mean,
rushing quarterback.
If you used him correctly, he would be. Incorrectly would be he doesn't get to throw.
No, but I mean, let's say that's not what I'm asking. If he's a starting quarterback next year, and at the end of this year, does he lead the league in rushing? I think he does.
Yeah. I mean, they probably would run him a lot too. I mean, because they wouldn't want the ball in his hands in those situations where he's throwing the ball. If he's used correctly, I have no problem with him. But if he's running an offense, then we're in trouble.
Yeah. He just can't. I mean,
he can't be the backup is what I'm saying. He cannot come in if Dak is out. We lose those games. You cannot have what you saw today. That's horrible behavior. You cannot run an offense that way. Cooper Rush can run an offense. Cooper Rush would not throw 5 picks in one game. That's not what Cooper Rush would do. He would hold it down, and that's a good backup quarterback. So we're done with that debate. As far as I'm concerned, Cooper Rush won tonight. Dak won tonight. And Trey Lance, in a crazy way, may win too. He may end up getting to play because he can't play quarterback. And they got to pay him, and they can't develop this. I don't know what to call it. I don't think he can develop it. That's just my opinion now. I'm down. Stock is down for me. And I that's why you called him my boy. I've been defending him all year. I thought it was a good trade, and they could develop this guy, and he could take over for Dak someday. This could work. Nope.
He's got glimpses. I don't, and that's the other thing too, though, is like the turnovers to second, third string players, fourth string players, are unacceptable. But also, like, some of the things that happened today wouldn't happen if he had starting offensive players. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like you said, you
Like
take five picks.
his third pick
Yeah,
wouldn't have happened if he threw that ball
yeah.
to CeeDee Lamb. Is he's coming down with
Oh
it? That
yeah.
ball doesn't get stolen from the
No,
receiver.
I
Um,
agree.
the second interception was totally on him. It was a terrible throw. The first
Interception in the
one,
end zone. How about that?
yeah.
Interception in the end zone. That's a double interception.
The fifth, the fourth one was just a great play on that linebacker. I mean, it's just absurd. It's just nothing you can do. He tipped it in the air. But at the same time, he doesn't look like he knows. He can't command the football. Like he just cannot. He doesn't have the pinpoint accuracy. But my God, can he run? I mean, he's a
Oh yeah,
talented guy.
yeah.
But like you said, but I don't think he can be a utility guy. I don't think the Cowboys have the roster space for him unless you just. What I think you do is you make him. I think you make him your backup quarterback, and then if Dak goes down, you throw Trey in and you lose the game, and then you adjust your lineup from there, and then or you might win the game, but I don't know, man. It's so hard to say. Cooper Rush,
Like
like David Gonzalez said, like long term, Trey Lance, Cooper Rush. It's so hard to say. Like honestly, right now you need both of them
I think
because
it's Cooper Rush now. I mean, I think
because if
Trey.
Dak, like let's say Dak breaks his leg week 1, he's out for the season. You need a mixture of both of those guys, honestly. That's when you bring in Trey Lance in as a utility guy. That's when you get him snaps like during the season, and then like I don't know, but like the thing that scares me is like name a really good team that has like you keep bringing up Taysom Hill, which yeah he can do that, but like the Saints are a shitty team. Like name a good team that has some like quarterback that can also play wide receiver that they bring in for a few snaps. I can't name a good team that does that.
Well,
The Chiefs
I
don't. The
mean,
Chiefs don't do it. The Niners
yeah.
don't do it. The Lions don't do it. Green Bay doesn't do it. Baltimore
Did
doesn't
Green?
do it.
Let me ask you a question. Did Green Bay not bring Jordan Love in certain situations, or did he never get to play when Rodgers was there? A serious question because I don't know. I don't
I
know
don't
the
think
answer.
he played. I'd have to look it up, but I don't remember
Okay,
him being that
because
guy.
he had some
Because
stats. He had some stats, but I don't recall if Rodgers was out or if Well, fun football. If you're there, you're a Packer fan. If you're still
you
on,
have to
if
tell
you're
us.
gone, no. But let us know. But
Well,
I
the
know.
question of long term is interesting because, like
Yeah.
we said, like
I mean, Trey's done, dude. His contract's up. Do you think they're going to
yeah,
re-sign him after what they saw today? There's no way. He's done. So that you can't. It's not even debatable. He's out. So now now the question really becomes: do you re-sign Cooper Rush? Because I mean, wouldn't you agree Trey Lance is done? You- He's on a 1-year contract. So are you
I
offering
don't
him
know.
something to stay?
I don't know.
No way.
The
There's no
the
way.
issue is that he's got talent that you don't find every day. Like his ability to run is so, and he does have a great arm. Like he's not a guy that
Decision making.
can't he can't throw the ball at all. But like I don't know, man. Like I honestly, if conditions were perfect, I would say I really want to see him play. I want to see him stay in the Cowboys organization. I want to see him play again next preseason and see if he improves. Because like if he just cleans up a couple things, I mean he's absolutely elite, but he's an elite dual threat quarterback. But um, he just I don't know if that's ever going to come or not. We haven't seen it. He hasn't played enough football. That's the one thing you said 100% correct about Trey Lance. He has not played enough football to truly judge who he is. Like it's really hard, but you just can't do that. You can't keep 3 guys and pay 3 guys like you are right now, and he can't really be the true backup because you can't trust him to come in and make smart decisions. So it's another tough situation for the Cowboys front office and what you do with him, but I do think he can. I do think teams might come after him this year, just based on some of the things we've seen. Um,
Well, that'd be great.
if
If
someone's
there's a team
quarterback
out there,
room, yeah.
we
The
trade
issue
them in a
is
heartbeat.
like if he just did not like, let's just say he had 2 interceptions today. Like I think his stock was way up, but it's just like it got ugly, and I don't know. Like maybe I don't know. It's really hard. Like maybe the Cowboys played him too much in this preseason because if you're really
They
going to
had
use them
to.
as like trade bait,
They had to play
you would
him
have just taken them out.
because
But
they
then,
they know what they got in the other 2 guys. Cooper Rush has started like 5 games for Dallas, 4-1, I believe.
No, that's the thing. Yeah,
They don't need to
that's
see those
tough.
guys. So it was all him, and he had every opportunity today to make a career
Yeah,
out of one preseason game. This preseason game could have made a career for him, whether it be in Dallas or somewhere else. He would have been 2-1 in the preseason, and having back-to-back positive games, they would trade him or they would develop him and keep him. But he went out there, man, and he laid an egg. That was bad. That
yeah.
was bad. I
I
needed to see
mean,
that week
yeah,
1. If he would have done that week 1 of the preseason, and we could have forgiven him for that. But how do you do it week 3? Shouldn't you be improving every week? That does not show development. If you're actually digressing out there, I don't see it, but I do see him playing. I do see him playing. I think he could be a
okay.
weapon, but not as the
I
starting
guess we'll
quarterback.
see. That's what's tough. I mean, but the thing that you could do with him is make him your third string quarterback, and then for the
Yeah,
first couple weeks
absolutely.
and see where it goes from
But
there.
he's
But
got to
I mean,
accept.
I don't know. I don't know, like if he could take a spot for. We already have enough issues when it comes to our 53 man. I don't know how they're
Yeah,
going to do this. It's going to be tough. But the one thing I wanted to bring up today, we're talking about Trey Lance and Dak Prescott, was I went back and looked up the stats for Dak Prescott when he had his breakout preseason back in 2016. So in 2016, Dak Prescott had 50 passing attempts. He went for 454 and 5 touchdowns, no picks. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns and a total of 41 yards in 3 games. So that's the standard you kind of have to like. If we were looking before the year, like is Trey Lance going to take Dak's job? I mean, he would have had to do something like that. And even in 2016, Dak didn't take Tony Romo's job. Just Tony Romo got hurt, and then
yep,
Dak came in, played really well, and they stuck with him. But yeah, I mean that's a really good stat line for a quarter because he didn't really play like 50 attempts was not a lot. Like Trey Lance threw for 49. He had 49 attempts today.
yeah,
So Dak Prescott didn't play nearly as much as Trey Lance did in the preseason, and he went 454 for 5 touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, no picks, like just perfect. I mean, I know you remember that preseason from Dak, but it was perfect. He
yeah,
came out, commanded the offense, didn't make mistakes. Just
yeah,
we
and,
were
and and yeah, that was awesome. And I was a Mississippi State fan the year before. Um, big fan of the movie Waterboy. I always thought that school reminded me of Mississippi State, Mud Dogs. So I was
oh
following
man.
that team. So when they drafted Dak, I thought, oh yeah, I know that kid. I remember him. Mississippi State was #1 in the nation that year for a while, and then they
Yeah,
lost
they
and
were.
dropped, but they were the #1 team in the nation. So Dak Prescott was legit. And that
Yeah.
preseason, we thought, man, this is a guy that's gonna take over when Romo retires in
Yeah.
3 years or 4 years or whatever. But when Romo went down, I remember thinking, the season's not over. I remember this kid. This kid can play. And we turned out to be right. I believe they went 13-3 that year with
Yeah.
Dak. But
Elite stuff, man.
hindsight's 2020. If Romo plays in those playoffs, we might
It's
win.
true.
We might win a game or two, but
Yeah, I actually never thought of that because I just remember the misery. But yeah, you might be right about that. I don't know. I think it was again. I think that was another defensive loss that game. I still blame the defense and Jason Garrett, but yeah, you might be right about that. But Trey Lance, for reference, he threw for 662, which is pretty insane. Probably had close to 130, 140 attempts. That he threw the ball a ton. He had 2 passing touchdowns and 5 picks, which he accumulated today. So that was the one thing that was really going for him before today's game was like, man, he hasn't turned the ball over yet, so that's good. But obviously today was just a shit show. 2 rushing touchdowns for the season. He had a big 46-yard rushing touchdown today, which was after he did that, I was, man, this is really good. But pretty much every preseason game, he led the team in rushing. He went 11 for 90 today, averaging 8.2 yards per carry as a quarterback. I mean, it's outstanding, man. His rushing numbers are absurd. But It's just not there. His passing game is not there. I don't know when that's going to develop. If it develops, and like you said, Cowboy Reg, like your opportunities in the NFL are so small, you have to seize that opportunity, and he just
And that
didn't
was
quite seize that opportunity.
his
So
opportunity was tonight.
yeah,
That was it.
so but yeah, after a promising game in Vegas, um, we thought today might be the day, and honestly, early on, I was saying, I was thinking to myself like he might be pressing Cooper for his backup job if he continues this, because that first drive was amazing, but
Yep.
he's just not there. His accuracy is not there. But let's move on. This has been a long segment on Trey Lance, but I think that is the most. I think that's what's on everyone's mind today. But kind of already talked about the game, but I want to get into some transactions from the Cowboys that's happened this past week. Well, actually, not a transaction, but first we need to talk about Deron Bland. Bad news out of the Cowboys camp. Deron Bland, our star cornerback from last year that set the NFL record for pick sixes last year, will be out 6 to 8 weeks with a foot injury. He's got a stress fracture in his foot. He's going to need surgery. So he's out 6 to 8 weeks. Really tough. It sucks that he's going to be out, but if everything goes well, you can see him missing between 4 and 6 games, which really isn't that bad. It's not even half the year. So it could be worse, I guess, to think optimistically. But, we had a terrible injury to Trevon Diggs last year. Now to lose Deron Bland before the season, that sucks. So, like we said on the podcast many times, we'd love to see them both. And Stephon Gilmore looks like is signing with the Minnesota Vikings, so he might not be an option anymore. But
No, he's gone. He's gone, I believe.
yeah,
I believe he's signed. Done
I
deal, I
think he
believe.
signed. Yeah. So really tough, man. That sucks. But they did re-sign Jordan Lewis. We got some other guys that have kind of stepped up in the preseason, so
They've had some good
can
play in the preseason. So we might have a new Deron Bland. Remember, Deron Bland was kind of thrown into that role as a rookie
yeah.
and really performed. So the big question, Dallas, is Trevon Diggs ready to be cornerback number one? Because you just became quarterback number one. You do not have the luxury of now rehabbing yourself back to getting to that level. Now all the pressure's on him, and that concerns me a bit.
Yeah, again, like that's why we were really happy about this cornerback room, is because like depending on not even who's playing good like week to week, but who's playing well in the game, like you can switch it up. Who's going to take the number one wide receiver, right? And now that's going to just have to be Trevon Diggs. So losing all of last season, now you're cornerback number one, because Jordan Lewis is not going to be cornerback number one because he's a slot corner. So it's not a guy you're going to throw on the outside. So it's going to have to be Trevon Diggs for the first 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully, if Deron Bland is healthy and comes right back. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's going to create some issues there. But we didn't see Kalen Carson today, so I don't know
No,
what the deal is
because
that he's made the team, I think.
he's in. He's legit, and now you're going to see him a lot. And
Yeah.
I mean, they are high on him. They did not even want
I
him
am
to play.
too. He looks great.
Yeah. So I mean, there's the guy. When I say we get a new Deron Bland, if this guy comes out and plays like he did in the time he played in the preseason. But that's a lot of pressure on a rookie. Deron Blands don't grow on trees, man. That's
No.
But we struck gold twice between him and Diggs. So, hey, like our offensive line keeps striking gold, maybe we got something going on in the cornerback room with Al Harris. That might be the key right there. He gets these guys and he turns them into superstars. So let's not panic yet. But it's depressing and it's concerning, and I can't believe it's happening. I'm a big Bland fan, but let's not panic.
Sucks.
Let's not panic. Al Harris.
These things happen. Man. And
he hasn't let us down yet. He's come up with guys. He's taken draft picks and turned them into Pro Bowlers. That's what he does. So here we go. Let's do it again.
So, yeah, like I said, Kalen Carson was not seen today, which is a pretty good sign if you don't play in the third game. The other guy we didn't see today was Kamon Hall, which is the guy that was
He's in now.
had
He's in.
a pick
Yeah.
six against the Raiders. So, as I'm looking through, unless I'm wrong, listeners out there, you could tell me, but I don't see him on. I never saw him. I was looking for him today, and I don't see him on the box score. So I don't think he played at all today. So that he might be a lock. Um, and the other guy I'm looking at too is um, Israel Mukamu. I mean, he played a little bit today, but that was another guy that played fantastic last week as well. So maybe he's in, but they have some depth there. Andrew Booth, the guy that we traded, what was his name? Noah, the guy we traded to Minnesota for basically a cornerback swap. He got burned today on a long 78-yard touchdown. So I think he had a decent game last week, but I'm not very hopeful on that after his performance today. But I think the secondary has looked good in the preseason, and hopefully those guys can step up. It's an opportunity to step up, and if they don't, I mean, you still got Jordan Lewis, you still got Trayvon Diggs. You try to hold down the fort.
Their safety room is ridiculous. Our safety room is
Yeah.
insane. I mean, so you can do some things with the extra safety and make up for it. So I'm not going to panic on Bland, but it hurts. It sucks. I hate it.
If he was out for the year, I
Yeah.
would panic. But
Yeah.
I think that from what we've seen in the preseason and having your star come back in Trayvon Diggs, like we should be able to hold down the fort for 4 to 6 weeks, get through it. Luckily, you got teams like the Browns aren't gonna dice you up in the passing game. You got the Saints. You have Baltimore, which is really like, in my opinion, if you can
You're going
stop
to
the
need a run
run,
defense. Yeah. Yeah.
you're
No
fine.
kidding.
Then you
Yeah.
got the Giants, which their wide receiver room doesn't concern me. And then you got the Steelers, and then I'm looking and I'm thinking that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Maybe Deron Bland's healthy for the Lions game and
There it
then the
is.
Niners game.
Ooh,
So
I
that would
like.
be
Hey,
really good
you
because
just
that's when I get
cheered me
concerned.
up a little bit. I'm a little bit
Yeah,
cheery now. I mean that.
yeah.
I like that lineup. Okay, we'll be all
Because
right.
I don't think you lose to the Browns because Deron Bland's off the field. I think you lose to the Browns if you can't stop their pass rush and you can't stop the run
Right.
game. I think that's when you
Yeah.
lose to the
I
Browns.
think.
And
Yeah.
the
I think
same
our offensive
goes
line is
for
the
the
key there.
Ravens.
Yeah.
If Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry go off on us, it doesn't matter if Deron Bland's on the field or not. Like they don't need to throw the ball. The Saints suck, so it shouldn't matter. If you lose to the Saints and Deron Bland's off the field and you want to blame Deron Bland,
You ain't. Yeah. You're rebuilding. If you lose to the Saints, you're rebuilding. So
yeah,
we'll know what
it can't
we'll know
happen.
what Jerry's
It can't
up
happen.
to when we play the Saints. Then we'll know.
Yeah. But anyway, and luckily, we have 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks before, opening day. So you look at an injury that's 6 to 8 weeks, you're looking at missing 4, maybe 5 games. But I don't think we will see Deron Bland until I think when we preview the Lions game, we're gonna really hope that he's back. That would
Yeah.
be game 6. He might even be back for that Steelers game, but again, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Maybe
I mean,
he's
you don't need
practicing
to
with
rush him
reps.
back. You don't need to
Yeah.
rush him back for the Steelers game. I think you have to have him back for the Lions and obviously the Niners game because that would be week 7. So we'll see about that, but it still sucks.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
I know some other transactions going on. So the Cowboys did sign Linval Joseph
Yeah.
this past week, as you
Nice
alluded to
pickup.
earlier. This is a 14-year veteran that came from Buffalo recently, but he played with Mike Zimmer in Minnesota. He made 2 Pro Bowls, and he's got a pretty long list of career stats here, man. He's been in the NFL for 14 years, so he was really, really good back in his when he was with Minnesota, like 2014 through 2018, even at 2019, this is one of the best defensive linemen in the entire NFL. Dealt with some injuries. He didn't play at all last year. But, bringing him in as a guy that's obviously he's probably not going to be a starter, but just adding some depth to that defensive line group, a guy that's worked in the Mike Zimmer scheme before. This could be I think it's a good signing. I mean, what is there to lose, Obviously, no guy in training camp on the defensive line is really
He's a big boy, and he got his measurements and his weight there. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
6'4", 330.
Yeah, that's a big,
so he's a big dude.
I mean, when you see guys 330, you're thinking they're 6'7", right? 6'4", 330. That's a big boy right there. Yeah, that's a guy for run defense. That's what Zimmer likes. Zimmer's got his guys, man. Zimmer's got his signature on this defense. We're all in. When Jerry said we're all in, I think he meant we're all in with Zimmer. The only guys we're getting in free agency seems to be on the defense, right? Started with Kendricks, and it continues. Jerry can't freaking sign anybody on the offense, but Zimmer's over here grabbing defensive guys out of his hat, man. And he's grabbing Pro Bowlers. Some of them are aging, but we got a lot of young guys. So when you got all these young guys around, you want some vets around, and you want vets around that understand the defensive scheme. So Zimmer's bringing his guys in. I think that's a positive.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a good signing. Like I said earlier, very early on in the podcast, it's like it was meant to be. There's all these free agents out there that have worked with Zimmer before. So it's a great sign. Like I said, Linval Joseph, he seems to be healthy. He's a big dude, but this is not a guy like kind of same thing with Carl Lawson, like not a guy you want to see take every snap. But if they're coming in and helping some of our younger guys out, like Mozzie Smith, these are guys that would be super useful for you. And just adding depth to that defensive line after losing so many guys to free agency is going to be huge. I mean, we're good on edge rushing, but throwing in Chauncey Golston in there after losing Sam Williams, like picking up Jordan Phillips and Carl Lawson, and then now Linval Joseph. It's huge, man. And then hopefully, you get Mozzie Smith in a better spot, like we talked about. He looks a lot better. He's bought in on this defense. You still got Osa Odigizua, who's coming off a great year. Like now, I'm pretty confident in this defensive interior.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously very confident in the edge rushing. So I think there's a lot of positives on the defensive side of the ball, man. So it's really good. But those are really the only transactions noteworthy this week. They did, last week we talked about we didn't have a number yet for Carl Lawson. He did sign a 1 year, $1.125 million contract. I would assume something similar with Linval Joseph being his 15th year in the NFL, but that number hasn't come out yet. But I would assume it's probably a 1 year deal. Those are kind of our major transactions this week, and it's very much like the Jones family. They're going to pick these guys up late and get them on the cheap. But hey, what are you going to do? But yeah, man, just to kind of wrap out the show today. I can't believe it's been 50 minutes already. But you know what? We're done with the preseason, and I believe on Tuesday, is it this Tuesday or the following Tuesday where they make their final cuts?
I don't have the answer for that. That's your job.
All right, we'll entertain the folks. I'm gonna.
Yeah, what we saw
Final
today
cuts.
was a lot of third stringers. So the positive you take out of today is a lot of guys screwed up today. So it makes it a lot easier to make those cuts. I mean, if they
It's
go
this
out
Tuesday. This
Okay,
Tuesday they will cut.
Yeah, you got
That's
all
what I
that
thought.
crap
So it's
fresh in
this
your memory.
Tuesday,
These-
80 to 53 players. It's going to be big, man. So I think we will probably hop on next
Who was
Wednesday,
the receiver
Thursday-ish.
that the interception was taken away from the receiver? Who was that receiver?
Man, that's a good question.
What's the opposing coach's name in the movie Waterboy? It was Coach Klein was the good guy, but the other guy that was his arch rival. In the great words of that man, I can't remember his name, but he said, cut his ass. Whoever got that ball taken away, you're done.
Let's
business,
see.
man.
I don't
You're
know
not
if
going.
it was. I
It's not a
think it was
stat.
Cam. I'm almost positive it was Cam Johnson. He's number
not a
14,
stat
Cam
because
Johnson, I think.
The stat will say interception, but that one was not Trey's fault. I've been hard on Trey tonight, but let it be known I want him to play. I just don't see him as a starting quarterback. But that one was not his fault. And look, man. Here's the deal: when you're in high school, the best athletes on your team are quarterback, running back, wide receiver. The wide receivers who are the best athletes on the team in high school, a lot of them become cornerbacks in college because they're just not quite good enough. So if you're a wide receiver in the NFL and you get a ball taken away from you in a 50-50 battle by the corner, you're not a wide receiver in the NFL. That guy got to go. He lost that battle. That was a 50-50 battle.
I think it was Cam Johnson.
Yeah, you got to go, man.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the guy that was going to threaten to make this wide receiver room anyway. But yeah, I think that's a good segment. So I'm not going to sit here and go through every positional group and say whether who's going to make the team, who's not, because there's so much that we don't see that's going on in training camp. I think the coaches already know.
That's who played tonight. The guys the guys are ready to cut are the guys that play in that third preseason game. It's tough,
yeah.
but
Let's do that. Like, who won the day today? Who won the game in kind of the positional groups? And I don't really even want to touch on offensive line because that's kind of locked up.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that real quick. Offensive line, Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton are likely going to start week 1. Cooper Beebe has won, from everything that I see, he has won the starting job at center. Because he did not play today. Brock Hoffman played the entire game at center until the end. And
that tells you something.
Dakota Shepley played towards the end of the game, actually had a muff snap, so he might be cut. But I think Cooper Beebe will start at center, which is pretty freaking awesome. I mean, we didn't break down the Raiders game, but he had an amazing game against the Raiders. He manhandled Max Crosby. So I think that tells you everything you know about Cooper Beebe. He is an absolute freak. Cooper Beebe could be the next, big thing on this Dallas Cowboys offensive line.
The next Travis Frederick. We just need another Travis Frederick.
I didn't want to say it. No, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it.
I thought you were thinking about Zach Martin, so I didn't go to the Hall of Fame.
No,
Zach
but
Martin.
he would be a Travis Frederick, but I don't want to compare him to anybody on that great offensive line because I don't want to put that pressure on him. But I just want to say
I didn't say Mark Stepnowski. That's the GOAT right there. I didn't say Mark Stepnowski. Cooper's going to be that guy, man. He's got the nasty in him.
He's very special.
I don't lose any sleep over him being the center, and I know Dak doesn't either. Cooper's going to he could be a Pro Bowler, man. I'm not going to jinx him, knock on wood, but he has that potential.
100%. And then Tyler Guyton, I mean, I think he has looked pretty strong, but
played well. He's played well.
He wasn't really in a battle as it is. So with Chuma and Doga going down, so he kind of just earned the job. I mean, Matt Waletzko is the other tackle out there, but he's not really the guy. So Josh Ball's out there too, but I mean,
Josh Ball is playing.
Yeah, Tyler Guyton. I think Tyler Guyton will be there, man.
Yep.
It's
100%.
It's pretty much there. So we shall see on the offensive line. But yeah, we got Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele on the offensive line. So I know I said they were the weakness going into the season just because give me 1 week, they go out there and play well against Cleveland, and I'm very high on this offensive line. I can't go ahead and say that yet because they haven't played a regular season game as a group together. But I mean, there's some talent. Regardless of how they play this year, there's some future there. So, I mean, God knows I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So
I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I am too. But I would say it's the most unknown. Going into the regular season. That's all I was trying to say earlier. So as wide receivers go, I think we have obviously. I don't want to get into man the CeeDee Lamb situation, but that needs to get done. We're just going to put Lamb as number one. You got Brandon Cooks there, and then you have Jalen Tolbert. I would say has had a pretty strong preseason and training camp. He's probably your wide receiver 3, and then it gets interesting there. I mean, you have Kevontae Turpin, who we assume is going to make the team, like because he hasn't played. So um, I think he's a lock at that 4-ish spot, but he's also a special teams guy.
Special
And
teams, yeah.
then from there, do you have any idea on who's kind of going to be the wide receiver 4/5?
The guy that no one can say his name right, including me. I heard his name pronounced 5 different times tonight, but Ryan Flournoy. I
Yeah,
think he's got a dog in him, man. I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's got the hands to go up and get that ball. And I think in training camp he was a superstar. I mean, every report I've heard out of training camp is he was showing out. And I think in the preseason he had a touchdown tonight. 3 catches,
and
30 yards tonight with a touchdown. I think he's that guy. I think he's the next guy up.
yeah, that was a beautiful play. Trey Lance threw a little
Yep.
fade route to Ryan Flournoy for a touchdown in the first half. The Chargers announcers were bitching about it, saying it was a push off. I didn't
Oh,
see it.
they're a joke.
It's
Oh,
ridiculous. They're a joke.
don't get me started on that situation.
I know. But I thought he has really performed well this preseason. I would not be surprised if he makes his team. Jalen Brooks, though, that's a guy, that was with,
I forgot about him, man. That's a tough one. I
so
don't know if
he's supposed to be
I don't know
competing
if I
with,
put him ahead of Flournoy. Yeah, I might have to resend that, but you got to have them
he's
both on the team,
probably
right? Got to have them
above
both.
of. I think
Both.
Jalen Brooks is probably going to make this team, especially
Yeah,
with week one, that catch with
he's gonna
rush.
make the team. He's in.
Yeah. But I think outside of that, Ryan Flournoy is the guy.
Yeah,
Not
he's
only has he
coming.
performed
Yeah,
well, but he's a drafted rookie. So I think would look good on the front office to have him. So
yeah, I agree.
CD, Brandon Cooks, Tolbert, Brooks, Turpin, maybe Flournoy. I think but Tyron
That's
Billy
it.
Johnson, he's had a couple of good games. He returned a lot of kicks, so he's played some special teams. Cropper is a guy they've thrown in there a lot too. So it'll be interesting to see on Tuesday, man. That'll be very interesting. But the wide receiver room is very. I don't know who's going to take that like 5 spot. That'll be interesting. We'll see. But let's talk running backs next. I mean, this is a big one. So obviously you have Rico, Zeke, and then who's that third spot? Like, let's say we only because I think we might only be able to take 3 running backs. Like, I would
Oh,
say, is it so for running back 3? Is it Deuce? Is it Royce Freeman? Or is it Malik Davis?
I didn't like Malik's performance tonight. I look at his stats, 5 for 28. Man, he's over 5 yards a carry. But I remember a ball, it might have been a pass actually that he caught, and the linebacker ran him down, beat him to the corner. He was not fast enough to get around that linebacker. And I saw a similar situation later in the game. Deuce Vaughn was in the same situation, and he outrun the guy. So
Yeah,
I think Malik is out, man.
I
I
do
think
too.
Malik is done. I think
And he
Snoop
had a
Connor's.
costly
I don't know
Trey
about
Lance went
Snoop.
for a
I think
sorry,
it comes
Trey
down
Lance
to
went for a
yeah. Go ahead.
long run in the third quarter, and Malik Davis got it might have even been in the fourth. Malik Davis got called for a holding penalty, and I thought that might hurt him too.
Yeah, he hurt himself tonight. His stock is down. Royce Freeman hasn't done anything wrong. Royce Freeman has been the guy they thought he would be. He can play in the NFL,
I
but
agree.
Deuce Vaughn is electric. He had an 18-yard run tonight that was electric. And
Hmm.
he did it last week and he did it again this week. He could break a game open for you. Freeman, he's the guy you just want to feed. Deuce is the guy, like, he might get 2 yards, 1 yard, and then 60. So he's a home run hitter. I think you can't get rid of him. He is really showing out in the preseason. But how do you keep Vaughn? And the other thing is Deuce Vaughn plays special teams. He returns kicks, returns punts, and kickoffs. So Royce Freeman's not doing any of that. So Deuce Vaughn, if it comes down between the two of them, I think Deuce makes the team. If somehow you can keep both of them by justifying Vaughn as an extra special teams player, maybe. But you got
but
that going on
again,
with Turpin going on over there too, So Turpin is your number one special teams returner, I assume. I assume it's still Turpin. So then
you're right.
then Vaughn becomes the odd man out. But don't you agree that Deuce has shown some electricity that you'd like to see him get the ball in a game?
Yeah, I actually had Deuce Vaughn as my player of the game today. I think he's the guy that looked really, really solid today.
Yeah.
Still a little bit of the same issue where once he gets hit, he doesn't have a lot of, I worry about his yards after contact, which isn't really a stat that you keep for a running back, but that's the one thing I worry about him is as soon as he's kind of hit, he goes down. But I still think he's moving forward a lot as a running back, like better than he did last year. Like you said, he is pretty electric. Like that throw you talked about earlier where Trey overthrew him. I mean, he could have been gone, like legit. He had open field in front of him. That's where you want to get Deuce in situations like that when he has open field. And unfortunately, Trey overthrew him. So I'm sure Deuce is pissed because if he could have broke that for a, let's say he breaks that for a touchdown, like Deuce is solidified on this team.
He's in.
So
he'd be playing. He'd be playing in Cleveland.
Oh yeah. So. But because of his special teams abilities, we didn't get to see a lot of special teams today.
Yeah, he did a couple fair catches, and the last fair catch I thought late, in the fourth quarter, I'm like, he needs to return that ball, and I don't think he did himself any favors as a punt returner. That's definitely Turpin's job. I mean, but a preseason game, I don't know. Maybe the coaches told him fair catch and that's it. But I'd like to see what he can do if he actually returns a punt, and he didn't. So that was disappointing. But he earned it, man. If he makes the team, he earned it. That's what I'd say. I don't know what else you want out of him. Everything we saw this preseason was that he's legit.
Yeah, I think Deuce I think he gets the edge over Royce just because there's more upside to him potentially. And his special teams abilities. But I don't think Royce Freeman has looked bad. Like
no,
it's just that Royce Freeman doesn't give you anything extra. Like Royce Freeman is the same kind of back that Rico is in my kind of looking at him. He's and Zeke. They're similar.
Right. We already
backs.
got Royce Freeman. We already got two Royce Freemans. We don't need a third. We need a Deuce.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's what I'm leaning at there. So I think Deuce makes the team. But I don't see how they. We'll see on Tuesday. It'll be really interesting to see, but I don't see how they can keep all four of those guys. And unfortunately, I think Royce Freeman gets cut. So, maybe he's on the practice squad and hope but someone might pick him up.
We got a small technical issue there.
No problem. But yeah, man, I'm with you there. Other than that, man, it's you think Brandon Aubrey makes the team?
I think he makes the Pro Bowl team.
I would say he is our preseason MVP. If we're gonna go with the preseason MVP, it is Brandon Aubrey. We got to go ahead and say it because we didn't do a breakdown of last week, but Brandon Aubrey set the NFL record for a kick last week with a 66-yarder. Tied it. Yeah.
No, it would have. It doesn't count because it's preseason. It doesn't go in the record book, unfortunately.
Well, I know that, but I thought he tied the record, but
he did.
He broke it.
No, he tied it.
Yeah. So just absolutely fantastic to see a guy like Brandon Aubrey, just a really solid dude, goes out there and just plays a hell of a preseason, man. He's just, they were saying it today. He's potentially the best kicker in the league. I would put him in that conversation right now. Yeah. So
I remember every time Greg Zuerlein kicked the ball that season, we had Zuerlein. It was I was
nerve-wracking.
standing up in the living room in a stance, trying to comfort myself because this fool would shank an extra point like there was no tomorrow. But Brandon Aubrey's up to kick, I go get a beer because it's automatic.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's 60 or an extra point. We can relax now. We have somebody who can make those kicks, and he does. He's amazing. You're right. He's our MVP. I wouldn't have thought of that. It sure wasn't Trey Lance. So I was thinking maybe Deuce, but he doesn't have the stats to back it, the scores.
No.
So Brandon Aubrey is your MVP of the preseason. I like it.
Yeah, man. I mean, any other takeaways for preseason? I think we covered it all. I mean, I'm really excited. Like Tuesday's going to come out. We're going to have our final team, but next week we will be doing a preview show for week 1 in Cleveland. I am pumped up, man. That's freaking awesome. We're here, Cowboy
2
Reg.
weeks.
We've made it.
We got 2 weeks, not next week.
I know we got 2 weeks, but I'm saying like next week could
Oh
be
yeah, we
might do one more episode, but I mean like
I thought you meant right before the game. My bad. No, I'm with you. Next week we're talking Browns, Cowboys. We're talking CD Lamb's been at practice all week. We're talking about we hope.
Yeah.
Come on, Jerry.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is like we're gonna try to break it down for you guys, but we really don't know what's going on in the front office. So they're gonna make their decisions on Tuesday, and we can, discuss and cuss about it all we want, but it is what it is. What they decide on the 53-man roster. But from there, we have our team, and then now we can start talking about the Cleveland Browns, who Deshaun Watson is already has some injury trouble. He's got a little tightness in his shoulder, so we'll see about that.
Here we go again, man. Come on.
I know.
Not again.
We'll see. I don't want to. No spoilers,
look,
but
man, it's just not fair.
I can't wait to. I cannot wait to break down that game.
The city of Cleveland cannot catch a break, and they do what they think is right, and then you get a guy like that who just doesn't want to play. That's my opinion. He just doesn't want to play. It's always something with him.
Yeah. But we are so close. This has been we started this show the week before the Green Bay Packers game, or the day of even, or the day before. I can't remember exactly what we did. I think it was the day before. And we had the Packers game and we thought about not doing it, and we decided to press on, and we've done nothing but off-season football. We've had no positive things to really talk about other than off-season stuff. So this is exciting, man. We've put it out there, and I think we've earned it, Cowboy Reg. We're ready to go here for the next 18 weeks with y'all and break down game by game what's going on. So it's really exciting times, I think, for the podcast and for football fans. So the preseason is great. We watched every snap, and it was, you could take a lot of things out of it, but at the end of the day, it's just not real. The real stuff is coming in 2 weeks. So we are super excited. We can't wait to break it down. Any parting shots, Cowboy Reg, before we sign off tonight and get ready to get into the regular season?
I've said it and I'll say it again. Jerry, do the right thing, man. We need CD Lamb. Do the right thing. You're not going to have this opportunity with this 1 year because these guys are all coming to the end of their contracts. So CD Lamb's a must. Do the right thing, Jerry. That's all I could say.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, let's hope that that deal gets done this week. The preseason's over. It needs to get done. We will try to do an episode either during the week next week or over the weekend, and we could start. We'll figure it out. But we got a lot to talk about, a lot to break down. We can't wait. Regular season is just around the corner, 12 days, like Cowboy Reg said. So really exciting times. We thank y'all for joining us again for another great episode of Sons of the Star. We'll see you next time. I'm your host, Dallas. Joining me, as always, Cowboy Reg. He's the best. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time. And go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.